Michael Thompson's phone, car and fitness watch showed him at the office every Tuesday evening. GPS coordinates were perfect. At the same time, his wife Karen was suffering fatal accidents. Police suspected Michael for 6 months but had no evidence. He was at the office until a NASA satellite engineer happened to examine GPS data and noticed a 3.3-second delay. This delay meant only one thing: GPS signals were being spoofed. The real location: Michael's garage, while cutting Karen's brake lines. Cost of the device: $89. Chinese-made GPS spoofer. Internet order. 2-day shipping. Technology that created the perfect alibi. But a NASA physicist's attention ended Michael's freedom. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If this story resonates with you, please consider subscribing. We shine light on truths that want to be forgotten. Michael Thompson's story began 3 years ago. He lived in Portland, Oregon. He was 41 years old. He worked as a software engineer at a large tech company. He earned a good salary. He had a comfortable life. And he had his wife Karen. Karen Thompson was 38 years old. She was a real estate agent. She was successful. She made 6 figures a year. The couple lived in a beautiful house in suburban Portland. From the outside, it looked like a perfect marriage. But from the inside, it wasn't. Michael and Karen had married 12 years ago. The first 5 years were good. They seemed in love. They traveled together. They laughed together. But then everything changed. Karen's career began to rise. She started working longer hours, evenings and weekends at the office. Michael was left alone. At first he was understanding. Karen is becoming successful. I should be proud, he said. But over time, jealousy began. Karen was making more money, twice as much as Michael. This hurt Michael's ego. I'm a software engineer, but my wife is more successful than me, he thought. Arguments started. About money, about time, about the future. Michael wanted children. Karen didn't. My career isn't at its peak yet. Children can wait, she said. Michael got angry. You're married to your work, not to me, he said. Karen responded, you're just jealous, because I'm successful. The words cut like knives. The relationship was poisoned. 2 years ago, Michael began thinking about divorce. But there was a problem. Money. Karen hadn't signed any prenuptial agreement before marriage. Oregon had community property laws. In case of divorce, all assets would be split 50-50. Karen's real estate portfolio, investments, savings accounts, everything would be divided. Michael calculated. In case of divorce, he would receive approximately $1.2 million. Not bad, but not enough. Michael wanted more. Everything. Because there was another detail. Karen's $2 million life insurance policy. Beneficiary: Michael Thompson. If Karen died, Michael would receive $2 million, plus all the assets. Total approximately $3.5 million, much better than divorce. Michael began thinking a dark thought. What if Karen died in an accident? But Michael wasn't stupid. When a husband thinking about divorce suddenly has a dead wife, police immediately suspect. Michael knew this. He'd watched every murder film, every true crime podcast. The husband is always the first suspect. He knew. If he was going to do this, it had to be perfect. There should be no evidence, no suspicion, and most importantly, a perfect alibi. Michael began researching. He browsed deep web forums. He read articles titled "How to Commit the Perfect Murder," but most were nonsense. Fantasy. Impractical. Until one day he saw the words GPS spoofing. He clicked with curiosity. A user had written, "With a GPS spoofer, you can show yourself anywhere. Phone shows Shanghai, but you're in New York. Perfect alibi." Michael's heart raced. Could this? He did more research. GPS spoofing technology was real. Originally developed for military purposes, to confuse enemy GPS signals, but the technology had leaked to the civilian market. Chinese companies were producing cheap GPS spoofer devices. A small box, phone-sized. It broadcast fake GPS signals. All nearby GPS devices picked up these fake signals and showed the fake location as the position, not the real location. Michael searched on AliExpress, typed GPS signal simulator. Dozens of products appeared. Prices ranged from $50 to $200. Michael chose a mid-level one, $89. Product description: portable GPS L1 signal generator, 10-meter radius coverage, adjustable coordinates, USB powered. He read the reviews. One user had written, "Teleporting anywhere in Pokemon Go. Works perfectly." Another user, "My boss tracks me with GPS. With this device I show at the office, but I'm at the beach. Great." Michael placed an order, used an anonymous email address, paid with a prepaid credit card, delivery address, a UPS store mailbox, not in his own name, a fake name. 2 weeks later the package arrived. Michael picked it up, took it home. Karen wasn't at work. Michael opened the package in the garage. A small black box emerged, Chinese characters on it. USB cable included, instruction manual minus, again in Chinese. But Michael used Google Translate. It was simple. Plug in device, set coordinates, turn on. That's it. Michael tried it, connected the device to his laptop. Web interface opened. He could select coordinates on the map. Michael entered his office coordinates, 45.5231 degree, N, 122.676520W. Pressed the Start Broadcast button. The device LED turned green. Michael checked his phone, opened Google Maps, said, "My current location." The phone thought, then showed office building. Michael was at home, in the garage, but his phone showed the office. Michael smiled. This really works. He looked at his Apple Watch. It also showed the same location. Looked at his car's GPS. Same. Everything. Every GPS device believed the fake location was real. But Michael had to be careful. If he was going to show at the office every night, office employees shouldn't notice, because Michael wouldn't actually be at the office. The plan was this. Every Tuesday evening he would say he was working late. Before leaving the office he would activate the GPS spoofer, come home, but his phone, car, watch would show at the office, and at that time he would prepare an accident for Karen. Had to look like an accident, not murder, not natural, accident. Police shouldn't suspect, and Michael must have the perfect alibi. He was at the office. Michael began implementing his plan. First test. One Tuesday evening he went to the office. Normal workday. At 6 p.m. he left the office, got in his car, turned on the GPS spoofer, set coordinates to office, drove home 25 minutes. When he arrived home, he checked his phone. Map showed the office. Perfect. The device stayed on all evening. Michael was at home, but digitally he was at the office. Karen came home. "Why did you come early?" she asked. Michael answered, "Projects completed. Finished early." A lie, but Karen didn't suspect. Next Tuesday, Michael tried again. This time longer. Left the office at 5:30 p.m. GPS spoofer on. Came home. Stayed home until 11 p.m. Checked his phone every hour. Each time it showed the office. The device worked perfectly. Michael was confident. Time to implement the real plan. But how would he kill Karen? He couldn't use direct violence. Would leave forensic evidence. Poison would be suspicious. Firearm would be obvious murder. No, had to be an accident. Car accident. Karen drove every day, constantly driving to real estate showings. If she had a car accident, police would say unfortunate accident, especially if Michael had a perfect alibi. Michael examined Karen's car, 2019 Toyota Camry. Reliable car. But Michael researched the brake system. He learned that in modern cars, if brake lines suffer a sharp cut, brake fluid immediately leaks and brakes completely fail. If Karen was driving at high speed when her brakes were cut, she would lose control, have an accident, die, and it would look like a car accident. First attempt, Tuesday evening. Michael left the office, GPS spoofer on, came home. Karen was late at work. Michael went to the garage, got under Karen's car, examined the brake lines, Tried cutting with a knife, but they were too hard. Couldn't cut completely, only caused minor damage. Is this enough? He wondered. He didn't know, but he couldn't risk it. With half-done work, a car mechanic might notice. Would say, brake lines were cut. Suspicion would arise. Michael gave up. He had to find a better method. Next week he tried another plan. Instead of Karen's brake hydraulics, he made a tiny hole, very small, so brake fluid would leak slowly, not overnight, but within a week. If Karen braked, over time the brakes would weaken, eventually fail completely, and during an accident, perhaps on a mountain road, brakes wouldn't work. She'd roll off a cliff. Perfect accident. Next day Karen got in the car, went to work. Michael was at home, but his phone showed the office. He did this every Tuesday now. When Karen returned in the evening, she parked the car in the garage. No problems. Yet, brake fluid was leaking slowly. A few days later, Karen felt the brakes were a bit soft while driving to a client. Strange, she thought, but didn't see it as a major problem. Returned home, told Michael, the brakes feel a bit odd. Maybe I should have them checked. Michael internally tensed. Yes, honey, take it to the shop right away, he said. But Karen said, I'm very busy this week. I'll take it next week. This was what Michael wanted. One more week. Brake fluid continued decreasing. Karen continued driving. 3 days later, Karen drove to a mountain road for a real estate showing. Outside Portland, winding roads, speed 50 mph. At a curve she braked. Brakes didn't respond. Completely empty. Karen pulled the emergency brake in panic. The car slowed but couldn't stop. Hit a tree at the roadside. The impact was light. Karen wasn't injured, but she was scared. Immediately called a tow truck. Car was taken to the repair shop. The mechanic looked at the brake system. There's a small hole in the brake line. Fluid leaked. Very dangerous. Could have caused an accident, he said. Karen was shocked. Where did this hole come from? Mechanic. Sometimes metal fatigues or a rock hits. Rare but possible. Karen didn't suspect. Looked like an accident. The mechanic replaced the brake line. Car was fixed. Karen returned home. Told Michael, I had a terrible experience today. The brakes didn't work. I almost had an accident. Michael showed fake concern. My God, are you okay? You're not hurt? Karen, I'm fine, but it was very scary. Internally, Michael was disappointed. The plan hadn't worked. Karen hadn't died. But Michael didn't give up. This time he had to be more aggressive. Not a slow leak, complete cut, but he had to time it right. Karen's brakes needed to fail completely while she was driving on a dangerous road. Michael checked Karen's calendar, secretly looked at her phone. A week later, Karen was going to a showing in the Gorge area. Columbia River Gorge, narrow roads, high cliffs. Perfect. If brakes failed there, Karen would roll off the cliff. Fatal accident. Nobody would suspect. That Tuesday evening, Michael prepared, left the office, GPS spoofer on, came home. Karen hadn't arrived yet. Michael went down to the garage, got under Karen's newly repaired car. This time complete cut, completely severed the brake lines, used a special tool. The cut was clean and precise. Brake fluid began leaking. Michael cleaned the area, wiped the traces, got out from under the car, left the garage, went back inside the house. GPS spoofer was still running. Phone showed the office. Karen came home at 9:30 p.m. She was tired. Long day, she said. Michael, rest, honey. I'll make dinner. Playing the role, caring husband. Karen didn't suspect. Next morning, Karen got in the car to go to work. Drove in the city. Brakes were working, for now, because brake fluid hadn't completely run out yet. But with each brake press, more leaked. By evening, the brakes had weakened. Karen noticed. Again, I just had it repaired. But she could drive home that night. Brakes barely worked, but they worked. Next day, Gorge showing day. Karen got in the car, set off toward Columbia River Gorge, 50 miles away. Along the way, brakes got progressively worse. Karen worried. Maybe I should turn back, she thought, but she had an appointment. Client was waiting. I'll go to the mechanic right after the showing, she decided. Arrived at the Gorge, completed the showing. On the return trip, evening began to darken. Highway 30, narrow, winding road. Mountain on one side, cliff on the other, Columbia River 300 feet below. Karen drove at 45 mph. At a curve she braked to slow down. The pedal went all the way to the floor. Nothing happened. Brakes were completely gone. Karen pulled the emergency brake in panic. The car slowed, but not enough. Couldn't make the curve. Hit the barrier. The barrier broke. The car rolled off the cliff. Karen screamed. The car flipped, hit trees, struck rocks, finally crashed into the rocky riverbank. A huge sound. Then silence. Karen lost consciousness. She was bleeding. Bones were broken. But she was still alive. By chance, a driver passing on that road saw the accident, called 911. A car went off the cliff. Send an ambulance. Paramedics arrived 20 minutes later, descended into the gorge, found Karen. She was still alive but in very bad condition. Called for helicopter ambulance. Karen was taken to OHSU Hospital, Portland. She was operated on. Doctors did what they could, but her injuries were too severe. Internal bleeding, head trauma, multiple fractures. Karen stayed in a coma for 3 days. On the 4th day she died, 48 years old. Michael received the news from the hospital. A doctor called. "Mr. Thompson, I'm sorry. Your wife lost the battle." Michael shed fake tears. "No, Karen, this can't be." But internally he was relieved. The plan had worked. Karen was dead. It looked like a car accident. And most importantly, Michael had the perfect alibi. Because during the accident, and the Tuesday evening when he cut Karen's brake lines, Michael's phone, car, fitness watch had shown at the office. GPS records existed. Google location history, Apple, Find My, Tesla vehicle telemetry. All said the same thing. Michael Thompson was working at the office. Michael wasn't there, but digital evidence showed him there. Police routinely investigated the accident. Oregon State Police detective examined Karen's car. It was completely destroyed. But they examined very carefully, looked at the brake system. Brake lines were cut completely. The detective's attention was drawn. This cut isn't natural. Too clean, he suspected. Sent the car to forensic lab for more analysis. Lab technician examined the brake line under microscope. The cut had been done manually. Tool marks were present. "This isn't an accident," said the technician. "Someone deliberately cut the brake lines." Report reached the detective. The detective was David Harrington, an experienced investigator. Immediately looked for a suspect. "Let's start with the husband." David called Michael Thompson in for questioning. Michael came, appeared calm, acted like he was crying. "I lost my wife. My heart is broken," he said. David asked, "Mr. Thompson, did you know your wife's brake lines were deliberately cut?" Michael played shocked. "What? What do you mean? Who would do such a thing?" "David, could you have done it?" "Michael, of course not. I loved Karen." "David, how was your marriage?" "Michael, it was good. We had problems, but what couple doesn't?" A lie, but hard to prove. David asked the critical question. "The day Karen died, where were you?" Michael was ready. "At my office. I was working late." "David, can you prove it?" Michael pulled out his phone, showed Google location history. Map showed the office. "Here, I was at the office. When the accident happened, I was there." David didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was there. "Did office employees see you?" "Michael, it was late. A few people were there, but everyone was at their own desk. Maybe cameras saw me." David checked office security cameras. Michael's car was in the parking lot. Parked at 5:45 p.m., left at 11:30 p.m. Cameras didn't show Michael entering the building because he actually hadn't entered. But his car was there. David was confused. "Car is there, but where is Michael?" asked office employees. Nobody had seen Michael that evening. But this wasn't strange. In a large building, late hours, everyone in their own cubicle. David looked for other evidence. Michael's phone records, location data, everything showed the office, Apple Watch data, fitness activity, office building, 1200 SW 5th Avenue, Tesla car GPS, parked, 1200 SW 5th Avenue. Every digital device said the same thing. Michael was at the office. David looked at other suspects, Karen's business rivals, former clients, but nobody had motive. David returned to Michael. Husband is always the first suspect, he knew, but Michael's alibi was solid, unbreakable. But David didn't give up. He called old-school detective Jake Morrison. Jake was 62 years old, didn't love technology. GPS, phone, digital evidence, all of it can be manipulated, he'd say. David, Jake, we have a husband. His wife died. Brake lines cut, but his GPS shows him at the office. What do you think? Jake, GPS shows him at the office. What do you think? Jake, GPS shows him at the office. But was he really there? Did you see with your own eyes? David, no, but phone data. Jake, phone data can lie. Go talk to office employees. Did they actually see Michael? David went back, talked to all office employees one by one. 23 people. None had seen Michael that Tuesday evening. David, but his car was there. His phone was there. Where was he? Jake, maybe he left his car and went in another vehicle? David, office cameras didn't show that. Jake, cameras might have blind spots. David approached from another angle, checked Michael's finances, found Karen's $2 million life insurance. Beneficiary, Michael. David, there's the motive, but still the alibi problem. Michael couldn't have killed Karen because he was at the office. They were stuck. 6 months passed. David was frustrated. Evidence exists, motive exists, but alibi can't be broken. During this time, Sam Reeves got involved. Digital forensics expert. David came to her. Sam, there's a man. His GPS shows him at the office, but I think he's lying to me. Can GPS be manipulated? Sam, of course. There's something called GPS spoofing. You broadcast fake GPS signals. Devices think the fake location is real. David, is this possible? Sam, yes, but it's expensive, requires military equipment. David, what about civilian equipment? Sam, illegal but sold on the internet. Cheap Chinese ones exist. Sam started researching. Examined Michael's digital location data, Google timeline, Apple location services, Tesla telemetry, collected all of it, created a graph. Every Tuesday evening, Michael's phone showed at the office, but she noticed something interesting. Small but consistent anomalies in location data, tiny delays in timestamps, tenths of a second level. Sam went deeper, looked at GPS signal strength. Normal GPS signals come from satellites. Signal strength shows a certain pattern, but Michael's GPS signals on Tuesday evenings were slightly different, stronger and more consistent, like they're being broadcast from nearby. Sam reported to David, GPS data has anomalies. This could indicate GPS spoofing. David, can you prove it? Sam, I need more data. Ideally satellite data, but that's NASA or DoD level. And that's when coincidence came into play. Dr. Patricia Yang, a satellite engineer working at NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, 34 years old, GPS satellite systems expert. Patricia routinely did GPS signal quality analyses. One day, examining Portland area GPS data for her own project, noticed an anomaly at a specific location, 1 Sulstrui 5th Avenue, an office building. At certain times, GPS signal patterns were odd. Curiously went deeper. The anomaly occurred every Tuesday evening between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. Patricia thought, what could this be? She knew GPS spoofing, a concern for NASA. Could this be spoofing? Did signal delay analysis? Normal GPS signals experience some delay at the satellite, around r.r67 seconds, speed of light distance. But signals in this anomaly zone showed r.3 second delay. Patricia was surprised. This doesn't make sense. Our 0.3-second delay means signal source is approximately 90,000 kilometers away, but GPS satellites are at 20,000 kilometers. This delay must be artificial, spoofed signal. Patricia reported her findings to NASA Security Department. I detected GPS spoofing activity in Portland. NASA Security forwarded to FBI. FBI received notification. GPS spoofing illegal. Threatens aviation safety. FBI agent called David Harrington. Coincidentally the same David. Detective Harrington, you're following the Michael Thompson case, right? David, yes. Why? Agent, NASA detected GPS spoofing activity. Location, Michael Thompson's office building. Time, every Tuesday evening. Could be connected to your case. David's heart raced. This could break the alibi. Immediately called Sam Reeves. Sam, NASA detected GPS spoofing at Michael's office building. Tuesday evenings. Investigate. Sam got excited. This could be enough to bury him. Sam and David obtained a search warrant. Raided Michael's house. Michael was shocked. What's happening? David, Mr. Thompson, we have a warrant to search for GPS spoofing equipment. Michael's face paled. What? I don't have anything like that. But police searched, found a plastic box in the garage. Inside, small black device. Chinese characters, USB cable, GPS spoofer. Sam examined the device. This is a GPS L1 signal generator, exactly the device for spoofing. Looked at the device's log history. Coordinate history, Michael's office building coordinates were recorded. Usage dates, every Tuesday for the past 6 months. Sam, here's the proof. Every Tuesday, Michael used this device to simulate his phone being at the office. Michael was arrested. First-degree murder. Evidence tampering. GPS spoofing. Trial began. Prosecutor presented a strong case. Michael's motive, $2 million life insurance plus assets. Method, cutting Karen's brake lines. Fake alibi with GPS spoofing device. NASA engineer Dr. Patricia Yang testified. GPS signals were fake. 0.3-second delay is artificial. Michael wasn't actually at the office. Defense attorney made one last effort. GPS spoofer might not belong to Michael. Maybe someone else placed it. But Sam Reeves presented fingerprint analysis of the device. Michael's fingerprints on device. Purchase history found. AliExpress order. Prepaid credit card. Delivery to UPS store. Entire trail pointed to Michael. Jury deliberation took 3 days. Verdict, guilty, on all charges. Michael Thompson received life imprisonment for first-degree murder. Additionally, 5 years federal sentence for GPS spoofing, 3 years for evidence tampering. Total, life plus 8 years. After the trial, David Harrington spoke. Michael Thompson tried to use modern technology for the perfect murder, created an alibi with an $89 device, fooled us for 6 months, but ultimately technology exposed him because fake GPS signals are different from real signals. A NASA satellite engineer happened to notice the anomaly. A 0.3-second delay cost Michael his freedom. Sam Reeves added, GPS spoofing is now a major threat, not just for creating alibis, can be used to manipulate autonomous vehicles, drones, air traffic. This case showed that GPS signals aren't absolutely reliable. Verification is essential. Jake Morrison said the final word. I'm an old-school detective. Don't trust technology. But in this case, technology was both criminal and solution. Michael used technology. We also caught him using technology. But the real lesson, human eyes still matter. None of the office employees saw Michael. That was a red flag for me. GPS can lie, but people know the truth. Michael Thompson is at Oregon State Penitentiary today. Life sentence. Every day he thinks about Karen. An $89 device was going to make me free, but a 0.3-second delay convicted me. If the NASA engineer hadn't looked at that data that day, maybe I would be free. But coincidence exposed me, and now I'm here. Karen Thompson's story ends here. But the lesson continues. GPS technology is now everywhere in our lives. Location tracking, navigation, timestamps, legal evidence. But GPS can be manipulated, fake signals can be created, and these signals can lie. Be careful, verify, and most importantly, don't blindly trust technology. Trust human eyes too.